Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new season of Pint Half Full. My name's Gary, I'm going to be your host for today, and we are joined by Charlie. Say hi, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.
And Chris. Say hi, Chris.
Hello, Chris.
The podcast, we're on season 2. I can't believe it. We made it all the way through to season 2, right? What did we speak about in season 1? Loads of things. I think my favourite headline on one of the videos was "Pre-cum gets you pregnant."
Yes.
We also spoke about.
I've warned everyone about watching our podcast.
Yeah, don't believe
season.
the titles, right? But there's one like favourite albums. We also spoke about mental health. Like I had a bit of a breakdown towards the end of last year. We spoke a lot about stress at work and stuff. But really, the podcast is about getting men talking. Right, we're kind of getting a bit more serious this time around, and I'd love to introduce our first guest. I don't think we had a guest last season, right?
We didn't.
We have our first guest all the way across the pond, Lucy McKellar. Lucy, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're great,
good.
actually. Yeah, it's been a busy week, and we're very excited to sit here for the next 20 minutes and get talking, right? So, Lucy, tell me, and tell the listeners, who are you? What do you do?
So I am a mental health and wellness coach. I have been doing that for the last 5-ish years. I started doing it because I noticed there was a huge disconnect in like how we talk and how we treat mental health. A lot of us go to treat just the symptoms, but it takes, for those of us that are chronic sufferers, it actually takes a lot more than that. So I kind of jumped in that space, and that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years.
Cool, man. I have been following your Insta journey for a few years now. I jumped on a couple of your lives, and I've seen obviously a whole bunch of stories literally over the last couple of years. The listeners and the people in the room won't know. We knew each other in a past life.
We did.
Yeah.
Long time.
Like I said previously, before we jumped on the call, 20 years ago at Rat and Parrot in Woking.
Almost my age.
So Charlie's 21. So yeah, Charlie was barely born the last time we actually spoke. But I thought it was really good that I knew someone. I was connected with someone, let's say, about mental health and well-being. And what really excited me about this one was actually it's gut health and anxiety is probably a bit of a focus. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, so I call myself a holistic health and wellness coach because I think especially, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of men as well tend to shy away from the word holistic because people think it's like airy-fairy. It's like, take some supplements and go
meditate, do some chimes and not talk for 7 days in a retreat kind of thing. Yeah,
and I mean, learning to control your stress is a huge part of it, but there's much more to it. Holistic actually just means whole body. So that is what I focus on. I look at the whole body. Functional medicine, I'm a practitioner. I'm not like a licensed doctor or anything, but I'm very interested in functional medicine, which is the practice of looking for areas that need healing in the body rather than just treating the symptoms. And in functional medicine, anxiety and panic attacks are seen as symptoms of a deeper rooted cause. And that is what I am obsessed with.
Okay,
and
cool.
Basically became like my life's work.
So, I mean, this is great. And is it, like you said, you've been doing this for like 5 years. What did you do before?
Yes. Marketing.
Oh, really? Classic. So how was that? How did you change from marketing to anxiety and wellness?
That is a good question. So basically, from my own story, I suffered very, very badly with panic attacks. Probably around the time that I first met you, actually, it was early 20s.
Oh God, I hope there's no correlation there.
PTSD, seeing you again.
Actually, Gary, it was just when I met you.
It was the whole plan, just to jump on and just expose you.
Yeah, sorry, carry on.
No, you're good. I basically, for 10 years, I was locked in this struggle with my mental health and I just couldn't shift it. And once I got through that, I realized a lot of people needed to know about this information. And also it coincided with me getting fired.
Okay, cool.
From my last
Opportunistic,
ever corporate
yeah.
job. And I don't know, it was a combination of wanting to put this information out there, wanting other people to understand that you can heal from like a mental health issues rather than having to deal with it for the rest of your life. And also being really stubborn and not wanting to ever be fired again.
Yeah. Do you think, you know, there's, yeah. Do you think that there's been a bit of a focus on mental health? Actually, in particular, in the last 5 years, I've seen a bit more, you know, that more people are talking about it, more people are actually seeing it as health, not just mental health. Do you know what I mean? It's part of a health and well-being thing, especially at work as well. I think there is, you know, mental health and safety officers kind of thing.
I mean, again, not in the corporate world, but I have seen a lot of people like they've like job roles and things like that, and they're bringing in like meditation to work and stuff like that, trying to encourage that, which is great. I think there's definitely the conversation has been increasing, because one of my issues was 10 years ago, like whatever it was, more than that now, but there wasn't a conversation. And no one could tell me what was happening to me. Like my first panic attack, they gave me some sleeping pills.
just sleep it off, Lucy. Just have a sleep. It's fine. You need to go to bed.
Just having an attack and it just 2 darts in the neck, just out for the count. Yeah, she's sorted. She's fine.
Like, it was awful, and no one used the words mental health, and nobody told me I had a panic attack. They were just like, "Here are these pills. Like, there you go, on your way." And yeah, it just. So the conversation has definitely changed. It's increasing.
Do you think?
I find it really
Go on, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I find it interesting that you said that you are seeing more people talk about it as from a health aspect. I don't see that as much, but it's probably because I'm in this space like every day.
Yeah, sure. It's saturated anyway. Now, I said that you're over in the pond, right? Across the pond. Whereabouts in the US are you?
I'm in Austin, Texas.
Okay, cool. So I think there is a bit of a cultural divide between the US and the UK in terms of seeking help. I think the US, I'm generalizing here, people in the US are probably more open to going to therapy and to addressing mental health issues. Whereas I think the Brits seem to be a bit more, they see it as a weakness, right? They see it as I'm giving in. You know, you don't hear of people going to therapy in the UK. You don't, or marriage therapy or mental health therapy or whatever. But in the US, you kind of hear it all the time, right? You go, I'm seeing my therapist. And I might be generalizing in the movies kind of thing, right? But do you see that cultural divide between the US being more open to seeking help?
Yes and no. So I do see it, but funnily enough, still with men, like my male clients, they want to do the work and they want to do the healing, but the ongoing things that need to change, like work and potentially actually going out and getting like a therapist, going like regularly, and including things like stress relieving techniques like meditation, they're very hesitant to do those kind of things.
I think I could probably agree with that, right? I think generally men want to fix it now. I want to fix my anxiety. I'm going to ask you the question later, how do I fix my anxiety? But really what like I said, what they want is it's a long-term strategy. It's a development. It's actually about managing anxiety and not removing anxiety, I assume.
Well, the way I see it is, so obviously, I mean, I do like a deep dive with clients. Like we will go and we'll run lab tests and we'll find out like which areas of the body need healing. The reason I focus on gut is because 9 times out of 10 for the people that I work with, there's always gut issues that tend to be the root of it. But they're happy to kind of fix that and work on that, because that's not vulnerable. But if they have to make ongoing changes, which you need to make because stress is a huge component of everyday life, but you need to find a way to manage it. And if you don't, all of the work that you do. Like you can take all the supplements, you can change up your exercise regime, like all of those things. But if you are not managing your stress, it's just going to come back. You are going to get right back to where you were, like, you know.
Yeah, it's a long-term management thing. So that's a good segue, actually. So let's get into the crux of it. You mentioned gut health is important, right?
Yeah.
Why is, or in fact, we had a question earlier before we started.
I asked Gary, what is gut health? So, yeah, if you could expand on that a little bit more.
So, have you guys heard of the term, like, a lot of people are saying, like, your gut is like your second brain right now.
Okay, cool. I haven't heard that. That's, I can see people saying that, yeah.
So there is something called the vagus nerve, which like connects your gut to your brain, and they basically send each other signals depending on, you know, what it needs to do, whether it's like digestion or to stop digesting because, you know, you're in fight or flight and you've got to run. So there is like almost like this highway of like the just like the connection that is going on between them, like it's a shortcut, so to speak. So people are becoming more aware of this, and that is maintaining that connection is part of gut health. The other area, and this is the area that I tend to focus on more, is your general overall health. So the health of your gut, how it's performing, are you digesting, like how your liver is being supported through your gut health. Okay, I get it now. So we're not talking like just the stomach and the diet.
Yeah,
we're talking about all those
bits.
All those bits in conjunction. And you're saying that has a connected highway to the brain and they work in partnership with each other.
Yeah, so what's good for that is good for your brain in a way, right?
Basically, yeah. Because if you think about it, like obviously our brain is super important. It's like keeping us alive and sending out signals like subconsciously to the rest of our body. Like you don't think about it when you sweat, but your brain is telling like your body to sweat. But essentially we need our gut to be performing at optimal capacity, just so that the rest of our body can continue to function.
To has a chance
in an optimal way. Yeah. So if you think about it, so stress changes the way that your body responds to everything. And it doesn't matter what that stressor is, your body will respond in the same way if you are having a panic attack to if someone cuts you off in traffic. Like it doesn't matter like how big or small it is, it's the same response.
Stress is stress,
normal, right?
He's saying there's different levels or different amounts of it, but it's a single feeling. Yeah.
Yes, and this is the thing, like your stress response is, it turns on and off, right? And it's healthy when it turns on and off, and when that loop, the negative feedback loop it's called, it is happening in a healthy way. You have the stress response when you see the stressor. When the stressor is dealt with, the feedback loop turns off, right? Unfortunately, for some of us, we deal with chronic anxiety, and because of like kind of things going sideways in your body, the loop does not get turned off. So we get stuck in stress response. And I don't know about you guys, but like when I was dealing with like generalized anxiety disorder, GAD, and panic disorder, it just never turned off ever. Like it was on from the second I opened my eyes in the morning to when I eventually got some sleep at night. And so what I didn't realize was the stress that I had been dealing with. I don't know if you remember, Gary, but I was very chaotic around the time you met me. I drank a lot. Like it was, I was in a really like crazy relationship that was very like aggressive, and just, I was all over the place. I had no direction, and I was just like party all the time. I did not like maintain my health at all. And basically what was happening is everything was slowing down, because when we are in the stress response, our body turns off functions that it doesn't deem, turns them off or slows them down. The functions that it doesn't deem necessary to deal with the stress.
Is that so? It's like putting all of its energy into trying to deal with the stress, and then I'm assuming if you don't spend that energy correctly in dealing with that stress, it all can all fall over, and therefore then impacts your gut health, and it's just one big circle.
Yeah, because if your stress response isn't turning off, you're going to be in that stress response all the time.
Right.
You basically, so our autonomic nervous system has two parts that govern like how we function. So you are either in fight or flight, which is your sympathetic nervous system. Yeah, or you are in rest and digest, right? Which is the side of your ANS that we're supposed to be in most of the time. That's your parasympathetic.
Okay, cool. So we're only ever in those two states.
But when it comes to stress response, yeah.
Okay. And then what happens? Like, is it a matter of like? It's funny, like chicken or the egg. Do I need to focus on trying to manage my anxiety to help with my gut health, or should I focus on my gut health to help manage my anxiety, or is it shit? I've got to do both.
So this is the thing, and honestly, it's really individual for everybody.
Right.
I started managing my stress a lot better, and it alleviated it a lot. I stopped having panic attacks and things like that, but I was still dealing with chronic daily anxiety. Like, it was every day. And I think a lot of us as well, I don't think I'm alone in this, we kind of accept it as normal because of like the society.
Just kind of get on with it. You know, your mum and dad, the boomers generation were like, just get on with it, Xennial. You know, you got to keep crack on. Just like go have an extra sleep.
Yeah. And, you know, and so, it's funny you say that, because that was the solution presented to me by my mom. She was like, take these pills and just like go to bed more.
Yeah, here's something to distract you. It's totally harden up. Here's a couple of concrete pills, harden up. Yeah.
I've got a quick question, Lucy. Like, are we? So panic attacks. So I've never had a panic attack in my life, thank God. But is it something that's in your genes, or like can it be brought on all of a sudden? Like, how does it develop?
So there is talk that you can be more susceptible to like mental health struggles. Like funnily enough, both my parents suffered from like anxiety and stuff, and my mom actually takes medication for her anxiety, but it can literally just happen to anyone out of the blue, because
so it could just be triggered.
About how your body, because if you're in chronic stress all the time, it's kind of links back to what I was saying before, your body functions change, and your body can only survive like that for so long before more like shit starts going sideways, because it turns off. So it reduces like digestion capacity, your hormone production, like your sex drive, like how you're detoxing. So like, for example, you're not digesting properly because you don't need to do that when you're like running from a bear, right? Like when it's actual.
I mean, you definitely shit yourself. Well, we're talking about gut health. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So all these functions are turned off, which again is fine in the short term. But when you think about these things for long term, and someone like me who was literally stressed from the second I opened my eyes to went to sleep again, all those functions are not working as they should. And then what happens, it just causes like a buildup in your body. Like you're not detoxing properly, so you're basically recirculating crap. You're not digesting, so your body isn't getting the energy that it needs. And obviously when you're stressed, you need even more energy, and you're getting less. So then other things start to be, you know, the body's like, okay, well, we'll produce less of your happy hormones and things like that, and slowly
serotonin, I think it is.
This is amazing. And actually, it's funny. Let's talk about the anxiety side of it as well. So I think myself and Chris, we suffer a little bit from anxiety. But what you've mentioned a couple of times now, people suffering from chronic anxiety and GAD. And so actually, anxiety isn't just anxiety, is what we're saying. Is that
there's so many different
There's
stages,
loads of different types of anxiety, right? I mean, I might get anxiety when I'm on a plane, right? I'm super scared of being planes, and I have this kind of Final Destination process that goes through my head where like the doors blow out and I can kind of see everything happening and I'm super anxious the entire time. But then also, like I mentioned in a previous podcast, I had a bit of a breakdown towards the end of last year, and I think that was an amalgamation of 1,000 different stresses that went on for ages, a good 6-9 months, right? And then it just kind of broke me. And I think all I saw it was too much stress and I broke down. But actually, I think it was my body just going, nah, give up. Like you know, I couldn't leave the room, kind of thing, you know. So are there different ways to address different types of anxiety?
Yeah, it's a really individual process, and this is why like treating things like this, like mental health struggles, is so difficult, because what works for me may not work for you.
And does this kind of come out in your lab tests? Do you're talking about, you know, what does that involve? An actual, I'm assuming we're not putting on white coats and stethoscopes, but do you kind of go through like a questionnaire to kind of help get a lay of the land in terms of physical health?
Yeah, so basically, I do have like a questionnaire, like asking about like symptoms, like emotional as well as physical. Men hate filling that out. It's really funny.
Yeah. It's being honest and open, right? I'd much rather just tell me how to fix it.
Yeah, and it talks about stuff that's really kind of vulnerable, like, you know, your sex drive and how you're feeling, like mentally, like, are you coping? Are you crying? Like, what's going on? And people don't like women are fine with it.
I can imagine, actually, you know, if those I'm a crier anyway. I'm totally happy talking about my feelings and stuff. But I think if it was put in a questionnaire in a clinical environment, you know, where I'm about to then go have an ongoing session every week with this person that I've just told all of these secrets to, quote unquote, I would be like, oh God, I would probably bend the truth, which totally isn't helpful.
Yeah, because you'll make it harder for yourself in the long run, because you're not opening up and giving the proper truth.
I've got low sex drive, or I'm crying in the shower kind of stuff. Actually, she needs to know that.
There's like an element of pride there, isn't there, with men like talking about like sex and stuff, isn't there?
Yeah. How do you get past that? How do you help us, generalizing, get past that kind of stuff?
That is not really something I can help.
Okay, cool. You're on your own, guys. Start talking more about sex, right? So, next.
I'm always really open. I think because I've been so open about my struggles, and a lot of my clients find me on Instagram, right? And I will talk about what I've been through, and I'm really open. Like, I will talk about stuff that, you know, guys generally don't want to talk about, like how much I was struggling at work. Like, I was having like secret panic attacks at my desk because I like didn't want to bother anyone. And just like talk about, you know, how my sex drive, you know, didn't even exist for like years. And I think because I'm so open, it encourages other people to be open. And that is really the only way. And obviously the more open you are,
the better outcomes you're going to get,
the better the
right?
results. Yeah. And I think as well, when people come to me, it's not, you know, it's a place of desperation, and I'm not like putting myself down by saying that, like, but I think a lot of people, because the whole like gut brain anxiety mental health connection is not like, it is coming, and it absolutely, I am really confident that it is going to be a huge topic of conversation. I think people are going to start to become more open to it, but right now, with it still being so new, it is harder to talk about and kind of get people on side. So when people come to me, it's normally because they have tried 50 other things and they're desperate to feel better.
Yeah.
And they hear what I have to say and they're like, I'm just going to try it. That's
I just wanted to add something onto this, because we're around the anxiety and panic attacks and stuff. I know someone or a few people that have had panic attacks, and I've been there and witnessed it. And I'm just wondering, is there any like way, third party, for like, for instance, me to help out?
That is a great question, Charlie.
Yeah.
That is brilliant, because you're right. It's not just about us being able to manage our own anxiety.
It's what the people around you, what they can do, right?
We know what to do when someone's having an epileptic fit, right?
Yeah.
But what do we do if someone's mentally having a breakdown? That's a great question.
No, it is a great question. Honestly, ask them. Ask them, like, what do you need right now? Is there anything I can do? Like, how can I support you through this? Because everybody is different. So, for example, I used to. This is like silly, but so or it's not silly, but one of my fears. So I had very bad health anxiety when this whole thing started. Like, I was convinced that I was going to die. Like, anytime I felt like a twinge, I would immediately get into that panic mode. Like, it didn't matter what it was. I'd be like, oh, did I just like breathe funny then? And my head would just spiral.
Right, like a hypochondriac.
Yeah, and I like to be told, you're going to get through this. You're not going to die. But obviously, that's very personal to me. But I didn't feel comfortable just turning to someone and being like, hey, can you tell me I'm not going to die? But if someone had asked me, I would have told them, and I would have really appreciated that support. So just letting someone know that you're willing to do what it takes and that you are there for them, I think is really helpful.
Yeah, do you know what? That you are not going to die, I think is the title of this episode.
That's a perfect title.
Yeah, but actually, if someone said that to me when I'm on a plane, if someone said to me, "Don't worry, you're not going to die,"
it would help.
You know, actually, because dying is fundamentally the worst thing. You know, that's like the
game over.
Yeah, that's the worst and final thing that will ever happen.
Yeah,
and you kind of, you know, what's it called? I tend to doom scenario. I don't know what the phrase is, but my anxiety drives more anxiety. I tend to have conversations or email exchanges. I create this argument in my head that I might have had with an employee or a person, or I'm driving along, or an email exchange that didn't actually happen, and I create that anxiety.
Like, what if this happens? Then
I think this person's going to respond with this, and then I'm going to have to then go and respond with. And what I have been better at recently is catching myself, because I'll be sitting there for 5 minutes and go, oh shit, no, look, fuck, I can't. There's no point me spending my stress coins on this nondescript, exchange of emails. It's never happened and probably won't happen. I'm feeding this big stress monster.
Yeah. Thinking the worst.
Yeah, absolutely. Just absolutely doom scroll. It's like the Final Destination, but in email form.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So let's talk about actionable advice, right? We're obviously three big burly alpha males, right? We have trouble talking about our feelings. What is the first step, do you think, for men trying to break this stigma around talking about feelings? You know, I generalize saying about talking about feelings, but I mean just kind of taking the first step into getting better, internal well-being.
In terms of like speaking to someone specifically?
Just generally trying to, start that journey of being better. How do men break this stigma?
By making yourself uncomfortable.
Right.
Like it's getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, which is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you get really good at it when you deal with chronic anxiety because you are uncomfortable all the time, but it's getting to a place where you are comfortable knowing that is happening, and moving through that is the thing that is going to get you the healing. Because often what we're afraid of, what the fear is the thing that we need to go towards to heal and feel better, even if it's getting on a plane.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, right? So you're saying that it's a bit of a cliche, but kind of like face your fears a little bit, right? Because a lot of people, and in the business world, everyone goes to me, oh, you need to get out of the comfort zone. You to be able to succeed, you need to start talking to strangers and stuff like that. I hate people. I hate talking to strangers, right? I hate public speaking. I'm a introvert masquerading as an extrovert, right? But I do some of my best work in the comfort zone. I don't need to go out. I don't need to face a fear. But what you're saying is I should face that stress that I'm having, let's say when clients aren't paying invoices or incoming leads aren't coming in. All of these stresses all amalgamate into one big stress ball, and I should then say something out loud now before I break down.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And it makes sense because I was going to say it makes sense because obviously when I get anxiety every now and then, but it's I had to force myself into a lot that we did this year, like the live streams, even the podcasting.
Right.
I'm in a band and I go on stage and I hate it, but you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and you do get better. But I definitely found with the live streams, the first one, it was, the night before I could hardly sleep. I just felt I didn't want to do it. But then we did so many rehearsals and we did a few live streams in a row.
Yeah.
You chuck yourself into it. And I managed to persuade myself that just go for it, just do it.
Yeah. You got comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, I did. And then now we've left it for a while. I'm sure I'd shit myself again next time I do it. But
so again, that's what she's mentioned as well. It is about managing it. You can't just like fix it now. Okay, cool, I'm totally comfortable. Yeah. Because then after 9 months, you're going to go back to where it started again. Right?
Yeah, I think 90% of scenarios in my life that have been uncomfortable scenarios, I've always had those thoughts in my head going, oh, what if this happens? And I always paint the worst picture, but 90% of those times it's all okay in the end. It actually works out better than I thought in my head.
Yeah. And
so
a classic example of that is, and although this may feel menial, it was your exhaust or your catalytic converter. There was the repair on your car, and like all day you were super stressed. You were like, oh man, I'm not gonna have enough money to fix this car, blah blah blah. Oh god, and then at the end the guy rings up and said, oh, it's 150 quid plus VAT.
Yeah, and I thought it was gonna be like a write-off,
a new car,
but literally like a couple £100. So
lovely. I say that it was only a small part, but in our lives we have 500 of those small parts.
And
more. So tips and tricks. How can we look after our gut health? Because obviously it's all connected, right? How can we as men generally working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, how do we manage our gut health? Obviously drinking is a massive part of it.
Drinking is, yeah. I think this is the thing. We're so used, like our lifestyles are not very supportive of our bodies, and it's finding a way to have that balance and make it part of your life versus it being like a punishment, like, oh, I have to work out this week, oh, I've got to meditate. Like, it's things that you get to do to feel better. But when you get so the crux of like gut health is doing better like with your life, like making better food choices, and making better choices around like exercise and things like that. Obviously drinking is a huge component. Drinking unfortunately is not good for like your gut microbiome. It's gonna really reduce the amount of good bacteria you have, and not only do your gut bacteria, not only they help with digestion, they also support the synthesis of like your happy hormones, which obviously we need, which again is another reason why gut health is just so important. Yeah. But improve it, so making better choices around like food, like consuming less like fast food, drinking less, which I know is like really hard to do, especially in England. And then looking at like how you reduce your stress and finding out what that means to you. So some people will do like meditation, which I know a lot of guys like are really hesitant to incorporate a meditation practice.
Yeah, man. Because it's an airy fair. It's like, just give me a 3-step plan on how to fix this, and I'm done, right? I don't want to sit in a room all quiet. I'm joking, right? But you're right. I can imagine there are lots of people that don't want to focus. They just want to give me a diet plan. Give me a 7-day diet plan to fix my mental health.
They want just a fix-it solution, but yeah.
Yeah, but this is the thing, and this is what I've seen. And again, especially with my male clients, they'll do, we'll put together, I'm like, hey, this is like what you should eat, and we're going to like take out drinking for like a month or 3 months or whatever it is. And I want you to support your body with these supplements and blah, 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 blah. But then when it comes to stress reduction, things like meditation, because you do not see an immediate effect, they're just like, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't feel good, but it's called meditation practice for a reason. But, even things like, like ice baths, like people are pretty into like ice baths.
That's a big thing now,
that Wim Hof guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Iceman.
So
Have you heard
that
about
is a
him?
great way to learn to manage your stress. And if you don't like meditation, you can always do ice bath because it's the same concept. It's like learning how to control your body's response. So I almost feel like it's a great way for men to start to practice that, because it's more like you can see the results. I mean, maybe not straight away, but I mean, you feel like you've done something because you get
You've
There's a
accomplished
body
something.
shock there.
Yeah, so when you get out, you feel accomplished. You're like, yeah, I did that. So I think for guys, it's almost like
there's a tick box there. Yeah, we've ticked that. That's on my to-do list for this week.
Lucy, have you been in an ice bath then?
Do you know, I haven't.
Oh, what?
I was about to ask how long. And
she's like, stop drinking, get ice baths. Right.
Wrong guest.
Yeah.
But I do cold showers at the end of my shower. But I feel like that's cheating because I live in Texas and it's like
it's
today
really
it's gonna
hot,
be 35
right?
degrees. So.
Yeah, you like a tepid shower, meaning not a cold shower. And look, listen, we could talk forever about this. This is great. So, how do people get in touch? Obviously, the majority of our listeners are UK and Europe, but how can people get in touch with you? What's what are your contact dates? What's your Insta handle?
My Instagram is Lucy_Lauren with 2 N's because someone had how you actually spell Lauren.
Don't you hate that? Like my surname is really unique. Obviously, Gumbleton. I was like, yeah, man, I'm going to be able to get at Gumbleton, like at Steve from Stephen Barney, right? But no, someone else has, and it's like a 15-year-old girl that hasn't posted for like 9 years. And I'm like, come on, just relinquish the handle. Like, I've got like Gumbleton _, which it's not good for my personal brand. Right? It's just not cool. Hey, listen, it's been amazing. Is there something you can leave us with? Is it like a single nugget that will help change our lives? Is there something that you would go, right, if I was to go away today, right now, and start my journey into a better mental health, what one thing would you get us to do?
Find a way to manage your stress levels that works for you. Do not underestimate the importance of having fun. And when you are having fun, when you are like enjoying yourself, you will be in rest and digest, like your parasympathetic nervous system, and that is where all your healing will take place. So don't underestimate fun. Take your ice bath, set boundaries at work, give yourself like time off to live your life.
Do you know what? I am a massive culprit for that. I barely take time off at all. And it's not, and I'm the first one in, last one out kind of stuff, right? So you forget. I started a business to spend more time with the family, and it doesn't happen.
And now you spend less.
I spent less time with the family.
But that's the thing, and you can do all of the other stuff, but if you haven't found a way to reduce your ongoing stress, it doesn't matter. It will all come back. Even if it takes a couple of years, it will come back, because stress is it's a buildup of, for all the reasons we talked about, like the shutdown of your digestion, your immune system, your hormones, everything. So even if it takes a few years, if you are still dealing with the stress, like chronic stress every day for like longer periods of time, it's going to come back. So find a way to reduce and manage your stress better.
Lucy, it's been great. Thanks very much for joining us. Listeners, you can catch all of our other episodes wherever you get your podcast injections from. That is Apple, Google, or Spotify. We have been Gary,
Charlie,
Chris,
and this has been the Pint Half Full. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.